Have you ever been branded the crazy neighbor just because you notice one tiny crack in the ground nobody else wanted to see? What if that crack was your picture-perfect suburb quietly deciding to slide into oblivion while everyone obsessed over lawn height and mailbox color? And what happens when the HOA smiling queen pins a $150 fine on your chest for spreading panic, and then throws her dream community party right on top of the grave she helped dig? Marcus Hale had spent 40 years reading dirt the way most people read tea leaves. Not fancy maps or fancy degrees on the wall, just boots on the ground time from Peruvian slides to Afghan flash floods. He moved to Evergreen Ridge for the quiet, the fog rolling off the pines like a slow curtain, and the simple joy of coffee on his porch with his old lab Ranger. Retirement was supposed to be peaceful. The HOA had other plans. The first whisper came behind his shed. A hairline fracture no wider than a quarter, but deep enough that Ranger froze mid-sniff, ears up like he smelled trouble rising from below. Marcus didn't panic. He once prepped military briefings. Date, rain totals, photos, timestamps. Day 1, water pooling where it used to vanish. Day 5. A shallow trough on the walking trail holding brown soup that never drained. Nothing screamed disaster yet, but everything whispered trend. He compiled everything like evidence for a courtroom. Elevation models, rainfall charts, a simple slope stability sketch on his laptop. Then he sent it straight to the president of the Evergreen Ridge HOA, Karen Voss herself. Karen, bless her highlighted hair and realtor smile, answered in 2 days flat. A crisp letter thanking him for his community concern, followed immediately by a $150 fine for unverified alarmism. To her, he wasn't a licensed civil engineer with 4 decades of saving lives. He was just that grumpy old man Marcus with the clipboard making waves again. Marcus taped the fine to his fridge and smiled the dry, bitter smile of a man who'd seen this movie before. Last year Karen had fined him $75 for unauthorized wildflowers in his front yard because they weren't on the approved color palette. Now he was the neighborhood conspiracy guy. Fine. Game. Then came the big announcement, blasted to every mailbox in bubbly font. The Voss Harmony Plaza. A shiny new concrete pad, decorative benches, solar string lights, and a movie screen for family nights that bring us all together. Location. Exactly where Marcus's runoff lines converged like arrows pointing to a bullseye. The hill's weakest point. Terrible engineering choice. He walked down to the site the day the crew showed up. Akers & Sons Landscaping, local boys with vibrating plate compactors and zero clue. The foreman, barely out of his teens, shrugged when Marcus asked about geotech reports. "We got plans, dude." Marcus laughed once, short and sharp. "Consultants or Karen's cousin?" That night he fired off a professional email, polite, detailed, 2 pages of data recommending immediate halt, drainage channels, silt fencing, a 14-day dry window. Attached everything. Inbox in under an hour. For bullet points in screaming bold Arial. "We appreciate passion but trust the process." Excited to deliver unity. Nothing about hydrology. Everything about photo ops. The rain didn't let up. Meant the sky was winning. Marcus ran into Eleanor Vance at the mailboxes, retired nurse, sharp eyes, the kind of neighbor who actually listened. "Marcus," she whispered, glancing over her shoulder, "my basement wall has cracks I've never seen. Patio dropped a 1/4 inch. He showed her the charts, no drama, just physics. Eleanor's nephew ran the local blog Ridge Report. 1 article later the headline dropped. Evergreen Ridge HOA ignores landslide warnings for new plaza. Photo of the site sitting in a lake of brown water. The board fired back with a mass email titled Clarity and Unity, lamenting outside agitators, and reminding everyone to direct questions only to the board. Translation. Shut up and smile. Marcus sent a second email, sharper, red line chart attached. Karen responded by scheduling the next board meeting, and accidentally, forgetting to post the Zoom link until 5 minutes before it started. He showed up anyway, muddy boots and all. Ranger waited outside like furry backup. Karen opened the meeting with her trademark pageant smile. "Before we vote on patio paint colors," Marcus stood, walked to the podium, voice calm as a man who'd briefed generals. Ladies and gentlemen, rainfall saturation just passed the critical threshold for shear failure. I've measured 2 inches of surface movement in 10 days. That hill is alive. It will collapse. Dead silence. Or wavered. Thank you for your concern, Marcus. No imminent danger. What consultants? He shot back. The landscaping crew out of Tacoma? That's like hiring a florist to diagnose heart disease. A nervous ripple of laughter crossed the room. Karen's eyes narrowed to slits. Your time is up. Progress. The polite golf clap that followed felt like nails on a chalkboard. 2 days later, another violation notice arrived. Misinformation and interference. $200 this time. Marcus taped it next to the first one and set up his GoPro on the porch railing. Time-lapse every 10 minutes aimed straight at the slope. If they wouldn't listen, the footage would. The arrogance reached comedy levels. A glossy sign went up overnight. Voss Harmony Plaza coming soon. Underneath, a rendering so sugary it could cause diabetes. Happy families, string lights, zero mud. Karen's husband even posed for a selfie in front of it, wearing a hard hat he'd never actually used. Marcus kept documenting. Enough to fit a nickel. Sarah Chun, his old colleague now at County Emergency Management, quietly reviewed the package he sent. Her text came at 2 a.m. Significant subsurface saturation. Pushing for stop work order. This one's close. Karen's response? A cheerful blast. Community celebration this Saturday. Coffee, donuts, and ribbon cutting on the new concrete pad. Rain or shine, because that's what neighbors do. Marcus almost choked on his coffee. Same day, the first jagged crack appeared above the pad like lightning frozen in dirt. Ranger barked once, low in warning. Saturday dawned gray and unforgiving. Balloons bobbed. West navy blazer, microphone in hand, hair helmeted against any weather. Good morning, neighbors. Today we celebrate the future. Marcus stood at the edge of the caution tape, boots sinking. The slab looked wrong, dark streaks of moisture seeping up like veins. He pressed his fingers to the soil. It quivered. Karen raised the ceremonial scissors. The ground exhaled. A low rumble rolled through the crowd like distant thunder that wasn't distant. Coffee cups rattled. Engineer dreads. A wet, grinding roar as the entire hillside convulsed. Pine trees tilted in eerie slow motion. The slope bulged, rose, and then collapsed in one sickening wave of mud, roots, and broken fence.
Screams. The slab vanished with a wet gulp. Karen froze, scissors still raised like a deer in headlights. Marcus vaulted the tape, mud already past his ankles. Karen, grab my hand now.
He hauled her forward just as the section behind her disappeared. Her perfect blazer turned to sludge. Her husband stumbled behind, sobbing. By the time sirens cut through the rain, the plaza was a mangled scar, and the hill had gone quiet, satisfied. Karen sat in the mud gasping, mascara rivers down her cheeks. She looked at Marcus with eyes that finally understood she wasn't the main character anymore. You knew. I warned you, he said simply. Some warnings aren't optional. 2 days later, Sarah called voice steal. Marcus, we found the utility control panel half buried. The lock wasn't torn by the slide, it was cut clean through. Manually. The GoPro timestamp 4:09 a.m. showed Karen's husband crouching with a flashlight and bolt cutters. They disabled the slope sensors to avoid delays that might hurt Karen's re-election campaign. Cutting corners for vote, the hearing in the Civic Building was standing room only. Marcus's time-lapse played on the big screen. Silent proof of inevitability. Gasps when the 409 frame hit. Karen's attorney tried the usual spin. Unforeseeable weather, good faith, community first. Every word sounded smaller against the evidence. The verdict landed like the mudslide itself. HOA board referred for reckless endangerment and tampering with safety systems. Karen took a plea, no jail, too many lawyers, but banned from any public office for life. She and her husband sold the house and moved out of state before the first wildflower seed even hit the dirt. The neighborhood that once obsessed over uniform mailboxes became famous for something real. A few weeks later, Sarah dropped by with the final report. Preventable. Grading, unauthorized fill, and deliberate sabotage of monitoring. She smiled tiredly. They're forming a new safety committee. Eleanor's leading it. Listening garden. Marcus looked toward the ridge, now soft with green. Tell her I'll help. With the soil. Weeks later, he spent mornings with neighbors digging shallow rows, laying seed mats where concrete once stood. Every scar deserved color. Wet from her brow. People call you a legend now, Marcus, the guy who saved the ridge. He shook his head. I just spoke its language. At the overlook, they planted a simple wooden sign. The listening garden. Below it, smaller letters, because the earth always speaks first. Wisdom begins when we finally listen. Marcus sat on a flat stone. Logbook open to the final entry. Date, April 3rd. Hill breathing easy. The ground was quiet again. Arrogance grows back faster than grass, but maybe, just maybe, a few people in Evergreen Ridge learned that listening isn't weakness. It's the only force stronger than ignorance. Sometimes the world warns you softly. A crack in the concrete, a shifting fence post, a gut feeling something isn't right. Most folks ignore it until the roar gets too loud to pretend anymore. But the truth, the earth never shouts first. It starts with a whisper, so tell me in the comments. Have you ever ignored a small warning that turned into something huge? A gut feeling about a job, a friend, or even a literal crack in your foundation? Did you listen, or did you wait for the disaster to speak for you? Drop your story below. And if you believe wisdom starts when we slow down and actually listen, smash that subscribe button. The ground's always talking, you just have to stop silencing it.